This is a story from the late 1940s, when there were still red light districts in downtown Osaka. Having barely made it back from Singapore, Hyosuke opened a clothing wholesaler in the ruins. 5 years had passed, thanks to a special demand. Hyosuke had saved up enough money to indulge in some luxuries. That day, Hyosuke went out to the red and blue neon-lit streets with the presidents of fellow wholesalers in the same town. That said, there was no way Hyosuke would get along with the young bosses, with whom he only had a superficial business relationship. It seems that Hyosuke, who crawled out of the burned-out fields with nothing but the nakedness, had different tastes in alcohol and women than the young bosses of long-established stores that had been around since before the war, and before he knew it. He was alone, in front of a store he had heard of somewhere. That's right, Omi-ya was here. Hyosuke remembered hearing rumors that it was filled with beautiful women, and peeked inside the store from the eaves. At that moment, he heard a sweet woman's voice from behind him say, "Come in, big brother." He turned around and saw a woman who looked about 30 years old, but still had a childish look. "Shall we do that?" Hyosuke went through the Norin as if pushed by the woman. "Here comes a handsome man," the woman said in a voice that reverberated throughout the store. From small rooms around the store, about 5 women came clinging to Hyosuke. "Come in." Among them was a woman he recognized. Hyosuke's eyes suddenly stopped. "It seems like Kuni-chan is your favorite," the women said in unison as they returned to their original rooms. Hyosuke and Kuniko met when he was running a shop the size of a single tatami mat. Shortly after he had returned from the war, Kuniko was the only daughter of an older woman who sold vegetables next door. At the time, Hyosuke was still tight on money, so he didn't have to look after her. But it seemed like a mother and 2 daughters were struggling, so he remembers helping out when there was heavy work to be done, saying, "We're in the same boat." After a while, Hyosuke's money improved, and he moved his shop to the current wholesale district. He worked day and night, and 5 years passed, and he completely forgot about Kuniko and her mother. "You said you were 15 back then, so you're 20 now?" "I think that's about right. You've come a long way, Hyosuke. But ours is like this." "What about you, older woman?" "She's sick. She says she has lung disease." "I don't see why you're saying this." As he said this, Kuniko started to untie her obi. Hyosuke was surprised. "Wait a minute, that's not what I intended to do." "I said I didn't intend to do that. I'm making a living from this. I'll pay the bill. I'll rest there. I don't want to be handed over." "Well, see ya." As Kuniko tried to jump out of the small room, Hyosuke said, "Wait, anything else? I want to be of help." "Just kidding. Will you buy me out and make me your wife?" Hyosuke hadn't thought that far, so he couldn't find his next words. HMPH. Kuniko went off to look for the next customer. That night, Hyosuke went home, but he couldn't get Kuniko out of his head. "Are you planning to marry that woman?" A woman who had fallen to the level of a prostitute. In this day and age, you can find plenty of good wives. But the smile of Kuniko, 15 years ago, came to mind. Her cute smile came to mind. Whether he closed his eyes or slept, Kuniko appeared in his dreams, and in his dreams she smiled at Hyosuke. After thinking about it all night, Hyosuke decided to go and buy Kuniko. When the store closed, Hyosuke, having made up his mind, stood in front of Omi-ya. At that moment, 3 men with tough-looking Yakuza-like faces came out of the store. "Hey, she hasn't gone far yet. She ran off with a man. Let's find her to kill the lice." After the men ran off, Hyosuke passed through the curtain of Omi-ya. "I want to see Kuniko." The woman in the store frowned. "She's not here today. She asked for another woman." But Hyosuke had no interest in that, so he turned back that day. The next day, and the day after that. A month passed, and Kuniko still hadn't appeared in front of Hyosuke. Nearly 40 years have passed since then. Hyosuke handed over his company to his son, and spent half the month with his wife at their villa in Hakone, living a carefree life. One day, he was on a bullet train from Osaka to Odawara. It must have been Maibara or Gifu Mishima. He was taken aback when he saw an elderly woman being led onto the train. by two sharp-eyed men and women. The woman looked just like Kuniko. Another shock was that, judging from their clothes and appearance, the couple seemed to be a policewoman and a detective. And the woman who looked like Kuniko, who he could catch glimpses of, had both her hands handcuffed.